Hello, welcome to the selection table where we have an ever-rotating horse because we get injuries, illness and whatnot. Bucky is still sending his apologies. He is bogged down with work, but will return next week. I am not Brad Lloyd. When I give you an injury update, I tell the truth, so you will see him next week. And Mr. Paolo has a family emergency, so we're sending our love to Paolo as we always do here. But that being said, I'm here because I am like who am I? I'm like the Samuel Walsh. I am always here. I mean, even when I am slightly injured, I play. Joining me as always, usually he's traveling because evidently now his job entails he's allowed to get 2 days away from his partner. Mr. Leg Dog, how you doing?
I'm well, mate. Soak it up because I don't think I'll be allowed to do these while I'm in the UK as much as I want to. I feel like when we're traveling through Scotland, Mrs. Leck might not want me to tune in at 9 a.m. to do a team selection stream.
Boo. And I've got to say, Leg Dog, last week was probably my favourite show I've ever done with you because it legitimately looked like you were live from a cocaine-fueled party in one of the spare rooms.
I had a few beers. It's quite a nice hotel, that one. It's very artsy and sort of
That's what I mean.
It's very, very nice. Anyway, it was fun, and I felt a bit sexy, so it was good.
You felt a bit sexy. Don't know where to go with that. It's not often you throw me. Joining us, as he always does there, probably the happiest man in Carlton. I actually did watch his show, and I'm looking forward to the show after this because the Sydney game depressed me. So the man that saves us from depression, he's a musical maestro. He's got great banter. He's got a co-host who spends more time overseas than Leg Dog does. Mr. Ian from the Navy Blue Corner, how are you diddling?
Oh, mate, thanks for having me. Doing well, even after a pretty average week watching the Blues on field. Wasn't great. Look, you'll know after the episode tonight that things weren't super happy, but, you know, still able to move on from it. And it's all about this week. It's all about the Gold Coast Suns and getting a team out there that can hopefully do the business. So very excited to jump into it all.
It's a big one, isn't it? I mean, you know what is exciting? I think we've all been itching to sack players, right? Because that's basically what this show's about. We want 58 changes. But players coming in, players coming out. Just quickly chat as you all roll in. And while I've got you, injuries are the big talking point at the moment. And I had a bit of an impassioned rant on Monday on Blue Abroad. What are our thoughts on Matt Pitternet? So this time last week, Matt Pitternet was a test for the finger. It is now a confirmed out of the finger. He didn't ruck in the fourth quarter, and that was much of the disgrace for a lot of reviews, people asking that question. The club has alluded to it was an injury exercise. Do we believe Pitternet injured his finger at training, or was it that hard contact he took from Brodie Grundy in about halfway through the third quarter when he never rucked again?
I reckon that might have something to do with it. I don't really care when he did it, to be honest with you. Like, it's a finger. He was going to either do it at training or what in the VFL, unless they were going to sit him out for a week. But I don't think a finger heals in a week. Like, I honestly didn't really give a shit about it. Like, the issue is that we never seem to have a sub that we can pull on because we've already had 6 injuries in the game prior to that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's strange. Like, I'm similar to Leg Dog. I don't think it matters too much when the injury necessarily happened. I mean, I went into a big discussion on Navy Blue Corner this week around injuries. It's a topic that everyone's talking about, and it's probably something that happens quite often with us, where someone might be carrying a niggle and then we play them when should we or shouldn't we is kind of that question right now. And when it seems like guys are getting re-injured so quickly from when they're coming back into the game, like with the last week, he has surgery on his finger and you go, okay, they play him, injures the finger, now he's out for longer. Is it a risk you take where the possibility is if he hurts it again, it's multiple weeks in sidelines rather than just maybe 1 or 2. I don't know if that's the gamble that we should be taking with how injury prone everyone is right now, but it is what it is. You make your bed, you lie in it, and someone else can come in this week and we get to see the TDK ruck with Harry again, which we played pretty well when that was going. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? I mean, you know what as well? We actually put Mrs. P to work this week. So for those who don't have the luxury of my Twitter, you should do, because my Twitter is fire. But I actually found a way of making the injury list better. All right. So Mrs. Pom has this wonderful ability. When the kids hurt themselves, she can use fake words for it. So this is what she actually came up with. So if you can see this here, she's changed the names of the injuries. So you've got Jacob Wheater out with a bonked leg. Jack Martin, leg boo-boo. Sam Durden, heady wake. Jesse Motlop and Adam Sard, leg owies. And my personal favourite, this one made me chuckle. Lockie Fogarty, poor wee, wrist. So if the club are out there, Mrs. P is available. She doesn't do anything on Tuesdays. So you just send us the injury report before you release it and I'll make it better. But that being said, we're here to cheer you up, get a win versus the horrible mob that we've played many a time. And that is the Gold Coast Suns. And this is the team I've tried to go in with. All right. So you can see here, lots of outs, lots of ins. Right. So my thought process in this game is Gold Coast, when we see the stats a bit later on in the show, they're Audi Sydney. They're basically budget Sydney. Very similar game style. And I think it's time to learn. So I'm going to bank that Wheaterin's okay. Corked, whatever it is. He should be okay. I'll say that with 42% confidence.
I've got way more confident than me.
Sad I brought in. So I think you both answered that question really well. I don't believe we should play players at risk at all. I've been firm on that since day dot. For me, and I don't trust players. And I think young players lie because young players want to play. And I would have lied when I was 20. At 38, I'm more honest. And I think Sard is an old man in his mind. I don't think Sard would put his hand up to play if there was an iota of chance he hurts himself. So I brought him straight in. Cripps, Walsh, TDK, Ollie Hollands, Akers. I've gone Walsh, Kennedy on the ball with Cripps. Z-Will, I like that. That was one thing I liked last week. So to allow him, I brought Cowan back. So they can have that extra rotation. We don't have to play him Z-Will down the back. We've got that coverage. And Fogarty, it's a bone-related issue. So I trust when it's bone-related, you kind of know you fit. Other than that, really straightforward. Binns makes his debut for the Blues in this game. I thought we've really missed Matty Cottrell's run and the ability to get in front of Akers when Akers drops back, which I thought missed last week. I thought last week that was really exposed that we didn't have that option. So aside from that, really straightforward. And I've dropped Durden. So you saw Marchbank. I thought Marchbank was woeful last week. I really did. And I wasn't surprised because we had a bit of a debate about Marchbank. I wanted to bring a bit more zip in, a bit more run. So he makes way. Durden, this was the hard one. Orazio or Durden. And my thought process is Orazio's 30 years old. He ain't going to learn anything in state league football. Durden probably needs an easier game, work on what he needs to work on. So it was basically between them. And that is the changes. Selection table and chat. Fire away.
Right. Jeez, we've got a lot of forced changes. So Sardi, I have a little insight into the Sard family. They told me 2 weeks ago that he would play at the Gold Coast game, and I believe them. I'm with you, Pom. He fucking hates missing games, but he wouldn't play if he was injured. I am sad for Matt Gandolfo that there's no Alex Murkov in your team, though, Pom. Is that someone that you're considering if Tom de Koning's injured?
Well, I mean, honestly, I have spent a lot of time with this football club and its fan base. And in 38 years, I don't think I've seen so many I have heards from any other club. Bearing in mind, my football is 10 times more important than AFL in its native country, because everyone has a tattoo of their football club and everyone drinks openly. So there's a lot more rumours going around. So do I believe TDK's injured? I'm not 100% sure, because Tom Morris, his comment was probably the funniest thing I've ever heard. He grabbed his buttock and turned round. Like, I think I scratch my ass all the time and turn around, and my glutes and hammies are in good shape. So I don't know. If TDK is out, so if the conversation is TDK and Pitana are out, would I bring Murkoff in? You know what? I'd probably play Lewis Young.
100%.
Correct decision.
And Harry.
If Alex Murkoff ever plays for Carlton, I'm taking that week off the team selection show. I'm just not doing it.
I don't mean this horribly to Murkoff.
Yeah.
Last week, I thought his game was impeccable in the VFL, and I gave him praise because it's the first time he's played an AFL ruckman and battered him. Like, it was an AFL ruckman. The guy was on the list 5 years at GWS, and he absolutely put him to the sword. But that's the first time I've seen it. When he's come up against the better ruckman, he has been, I wouldn't say exposed, but you can see the skill gap that he's still working on. So for me, Murkoff, he's got a bit of form. I don't worry about it. Where Lewis Young, when people like Sandra's saying he's a witch's heart, so he's Pitana when he's playing the game. But I just need someone to do 70% and not kill Harry. So for me, that's a big one for me. So no, I think probably, if you played Young for 2 weeks and TDK was out, heaven forbid, for 6 weeks, Murkoff probably would up his ante in the VFL, and they'd probably start adding the layers very quickly. But at the moment, I still think they're working on the basics.
Yeah, but I think we saw last year when all our ruckmen were injured and it was Sauce and Lewis Young, that it was fine. Wasn't amazing. Clearly not something that we wanted, but you can get through it for a couple of weeks. I think Lewis Young is clearly ahead of Murkoff. I think most players are, unfortunately, at this stage. So, yeah, I would not be even entertaining a possibility of that.
Yeah, and the others in the comments, you're all making a good point. I forgot. I dropped George. The reason I dropped George is I watched last week, and for me, the tendency when George is there, and we saw it last week, is they don't change anything. They don't change anything. And I want to see more Elijah on the ball. I want to see more Z-Will going across half forward. I've tried to encourage that. I've tried to encourage that in this team setup. And I look at Gold Coast, and Gold Coast aren't the team that you're going to beat up around the ball, because that's not their game style. Swallow and Miller get the ball out, and Noah Anderson and Matt Rowell get it out wide very quickly. So for me, Kennedy's form has been impeccable, and I feel like Kennedy gets moved around too much. So in this selection, I tried to put Kennedy where he is the best he can play. So it's an interesting one, though, with the rucks. The rucks are going to be funny, because if TDK, let's just say the unlikely event TDK is injured, Letdog and me are probably going to be smarmy bastards on Twitter going, every draft and trade season for the last 2 years, we've told you what happens if they get injured. And the response is always, they've never both been injured.
Yeah. No, we've had that conversation a lot. Another mid-season draft coming up next week, Pom. Let's do it. Let's bring that ruckman in.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We did. We brought in Hudson Keefe, and then he decided to take a specky as training had finished and knocked himself out for 14 weeks.
I love having 2 developing ruckmen on the list. That's a great list strategy.
Yeah, D, to confirm. So I've dropped it purely for structure purposes. I don't think Hewitt and Kennedy worked. I don't think it worked. I don't think it's ever worked, to be honest, when they're both on the ball. And I don't like seeing Kennedy down half back and half forward. So I want to see him play purely on the ball. I think he was the only midfielder last week. I don't know what you guys and girls think in the chat and on the panel. I thought he was the only midfielder that looked like he put up any resistance against their midfield, where the other guys looked totally lost. I thought Kennedy he stuck to his job well this week and last week against Petrarca, and I think it's gone kind of under the radar from people.
I'd love to give you an answer one way or another, but I've purged the memory of last week out of my mind. I honestly don't even remember what the game was.
Yeah, look, I like the intent from Kennedy. I mean, look, so many players had a lot of poor moments, and he was one that I felt got sucked in a few too many times into the contest, which most of our midfield did, that allowed Sydney just to run out into space. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it works amazingly. Kennedy and Hewitt in the same midfield. You need to get other players through there. There's just not enough movement around the stoppage, which makes us look incredibly slow if the opposition do get out in space. So I don't mind it, because I think Kennedy right now is playing better footy in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So if it's out of those two and you're dropping one, I don't blame you for doing that. I think one of the questions I have looking at your team, I like a lot of it, but there are quite a lot of defenders, particularly on the bench. You've got about 8 or so there. What are your thoughts on rotating that? You've obviously got Chincotta and Cowan on the Pine. Is there anyone that you're looking to move into a different position? Do you think we're losing something in another position by having too many in the back 6?
So what I've done here is I've tried to go back to the first 4 rounds, where our turnover game and our defensive transition was the paramount over stoppage and clearance. And I think I might have been one of the few that kept saying about stoppage and clearance, no one gives a fuck about it. It's a shit club stat. The bad teams have that stat. So what I've tried to do here is go back to the days of where we deployed Boyd up the ground behind stoppages, even the aggressive stoppages. Zach Williams playing full-time forward mid, and Kemp allowing, because I think we're onto something with the Marchbank thing last week, because I think it frees 2 of our interceptors up if you include Whittaker in. So I watched Cowan's game this week, and he played really high up the ground. So he was playing like what Kemp did last week, which I thought was an interesting change. Kemp played halfback flank last week and was really high up the ground trying to intercept that middle one. Getting Cowan in there to do that, and then Chincotta can play that lockdown role should he need to be. But also just protect Sard a little bit, because I don't think Sard is going to be at his 100%. So I would like to have that option on the Pine to have a bit of pace, knowing Chincotta is the fastest player on there. So that answers your question. For me, I'm trying to get this midfield group having options, because at the moment, I'm having flashbacks to having a beer with James Cousins 2 years ago. And when James Cousins said, your boy Cripper is amazing, but the trick that we have to stop him is just push him at the start of stoppages and he gets distracted. And we've seen it really massively. The media have started to pick up on it. Last week, James Rowbottom. A couple of weeks prior, we saw it as well. Do you know what I mean? It was really apparent. Every week, it seems to be apparent. So the first 4 rounds, because we were rotating so many people, it was really hard for them Jack Viney's, them Matt Rouse to be that nuisance. So that's what I've tried to go back to.
Oh, I think that works really, really well. I like the explanation. And Cowan's someone that's probably been a little bit stiff to get dropped, because his form was pretty decent. I was liking what I was seeing. The intent and those sort of last moment spoils that he was doing as well was really promising to see. So the more games we can get into a guy like him, and trying to fix that turnover game is a positive. Trying to get better ball users and guys that want to take the game on and build it from the back half. I absolutely don't hate it, while we're probably losing a little bit of movement in the midfield without a Chera. We don't have someone that really plugs into the gap that he leaves. So I like the idea of trying to change things in different ways.
Cheers. And just to confirm, Hewitt didn't make the sub. Do you know why? Having a midfield, one-paced, slow midfielder as the sub is everything I hate about the subs. So
you won't like my sub, Pom.
Literally, let's see it. Like, having said that, Leg Dog has completely fucking done me. Go on, Leg Dog, take it away.
So I'll say this: I didn't realize Fogarty was actually available for selection. He probably makes my team, but I'll just
safety though, Leg Dog. I like it. Safety.
Yeah, well, that's why I've taken Whittaker out. I know. Look, I just didn't like how much ice was on him. Fuck it, give him a week off. Do we really want him tangling with King or Lukosius or whoever they throw his way? I'm happy for him to take the week off, which is why Marchie stays in. I'll do the ins and outs first. So Sard comes in, Weeder's out because he's injured. Binns comes in for... Well, I guess it's for Pito, but Binns comes in to play a midfield. So, as you said, Matty Cottrell forward midfield role. Pito out injured. And I upgraded Carroll for Durden, who gets dropped. And then I bought in Lewis Young as the bench emergency or the sub, and I'll tell you why after. So the way I want to play this team, I think the back line, I want to keep the structure pretty similar to last week, but obviously Marchie is a downgrade on Wiedering, but he's the only one I can really see in this team tangling with a Ben King. And as I said, I don't want to risk Marchie. I get a bit of rotation there with Boyd from the bench. I've got the Z-Will and the Sam Doherty role we had at the end of last year, start of this year, which is that starts forward but can push into the midfield role. I really liked what he provided us last game. Yes, I know his strength is playing in that sort of half-back easy role, but we've kind of got enough guys to do that. So I want someone who can impact forward of the ball. Carroll can also rotate through that role if we need him to. Kennedy and George Hewitt I kept in the team. I'm worried about them for the same reasons you are, Pom. I just don't trust anyone else on the list at this stage. And then, Binns playing that forward mid role that I spoke about. Lewis Young as the sub. Now I know we're worried about, the explosiveness of a sub, but for me, I've got enough concerns over Marchbank and Tom De Koning if the rumours are real, but mostly Marchbank that I kind of want Young in the team to come in. And if Ben King's getting on top of Marchie, because in my world, Wiedering's too injured to play, just do the sub, put Young on him, and then he can pinch it in the ruck in the same way that Harry can. I'm slightly worried about their forward line, particularly after they kicked 747 goals last week. And that's the side. I think now, having seen that Fogarty's available, I'd probably put him in over Orazio. They don't play the same role, but I don't want Orazio in my team. I just had no one else to put there.
You know what? I love it. I've got a question though, right? About two things, right? Motlop has been asked about in the thing. I noticed you didn't do it, and no one picked on me for it. So I don't know if I get like a special. I love your chat. If you're nice to me, that's nice. Yeah. But were you of the same logic as me, right? That I go back to this. Michael Voss, final week of preseason, said that the best trainers at the club were TDK, Elijah, and Motlop, and he described them all as A-star pre-seasons, right? Then he got injured, and he got injured just around the time, if you remember, Whittaker got injured, and the explanation was Whittaker ploughed on through training and didn't alert staff to after. Do you feel the same way as me that Motlop you don't want to rush him back? Because let's be honest, Orazio and Durden are probably guaranteed to play this game, one of them, because of injuries. Would you say the same, that just give him the extra week, put him in the VFL, because it's a marathon, not a sprint? And I get worried about Carlton fans because I think the pressure on the selection comes from the fans because people want Motlop in straight away when historically he's about 60% fit since his final year of his draft. And that's a concern to me.
No, and this isn't an original thought, but we spoke about this today where the young guys who are feeling pressure to get into the team and they're always going to push harder and maybe hide those slight injuries. I want to see game time from him. I don't want to see him in the seniors. He's right. A Jack Martin, you play straight away, right? Because he's not going to get anything out of VFL. He's either going to be fit and in the team or injured and out of the team. Motlop, we need him to develop. He can't develop if he's injured. Yes, there's risk of him getting injured at VFL level, but you can manage his reintroduction to the team a lot easier with less sacrifice because, let's be honest, VFL teams getting absolutely smashed. Who cares where they end up? AFL team, if he comes in, you can't play him for 40% game time, 50% game time. You just can't get away with it. So thank you for updating the team. Orazio's definitely out for Fogarty. It's not an ideal small forward team, But guess what? Our small forwards don't kick goals anyway, so, other than Matty Owies.
Mate, spot on. I love it. My only other question is on that. If TDK isn't 100% fit, knowing that Pitternet has a history, and it's the reason he was got rid of by Hawthorn and they went other directions because he can't stay fit for 24 games a year, would you say if it's logical, and let's say TDK is totally honest and goes, look, Gaffer, I'm 70% fit, and it means having Young on the subs bench in case he gets injured, wouldn't you just say it's better to go, let's go alternative options for this game? Because it is literally, you need to win 80% of your final 12 games.
Yeah, I think, yes. I think it probably also depends on who Gold Coast name is their ruckman, if Jared Witts comes back in or not. If they play, was it Moyle who they played last week? I think he's their young ruck. If he stays in the team, then I think you can just go, yeah, Youngie, you're in. I think if Witts is in, I have some concerns. It's a good question. If TDK, I didn't really believe the rumors, right? So, but let's say he is injured. Yeah, sure. Let's put Young in and chuck fucking who cares on the sub, whoever you want. But I would rather be conservative with our players, particularly given. So everyone has been talking about our depth has been smashed and stuff. So this is the point when we've only got 20 players fit. We should probably start being careful with the ones that are 50-50s because, Tom, I know you've done the numbers. It's there's some concerns.
Well, I'm hoping to rope you two in to do that video on that.
Yeah, we will.
Just to answer this one from Kingslayer, this is the most common misconception, and it makes me bang a head against a brick wall. The way the VFL is treated by all AFL operations is no one gives a shit about winning the flag in the VFL. And that is part of the reason that the Northern Bullants are happy we've pulled out, because they lose some money, but they get to focus on trying to build a team to win it. So what happens in these games, particularly with the injured players, they have medical staff there who are constantly running tests. So you think if he plays an AFL game and he comes up to Vossi 20 minutes into the first and goes, Voss, I felt a twinge when I turned there. If he's got, say, Lewis Young, George Hewitt on the pine, he's got to make a call there to totally shelve the game plan, change everything in-game and potentially lose the game, or play him for the remainder of the next quarter, maybe the quarter after, and hope he gets there. And then he does a mischief for 2, 6, 8, 12 weeks. In the VFL, he comes up to Luke Power and goes, felt a twinge then. They'll just go, fuck it, who cares? No one cares if we lose by 100 points. VFL, I don't care. Do you care? No, cool. So always think that way. If Voss suddenly said, oh, I couldn't give a fuck, we'll just pull everyone out and you lost by 100, you'd go mental.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't go mental in the VFL. So, and Mr. Ian, on that, have you got any questions about these wonderful miscreants here? Please pick on him for Young as a sub.
Yeah, I was going to have a bit of a question around it. Is just if you don't necessarily trust that Marchbank can get through the game, and obviously there's a part of it that TDK can't either. Was there any thought of just starting Young over Marchbank and almost solving that issue and having someone else as the sub, or are you just more really concerned about the potential of a DeConing going down?
Yeah, it's not injury that I'm worried about for Marchbank. It's him getting absolutely destroyed. I did consider there was a version of this team that had Young in, not Marchie. I didn't consider Durden or anything like that. The reason I opted for a Marchbank to stay in and maybe play that key defender role is because we know what's going to happen next week if Wiedering's available. Marchie, Wiedering, McGovern, Kemp, they're all going to be in the team. It's just what's going to happen. So I thought, yes, I can drop Marchie because I know, and I didn't pick him last week. I don't particularly rate him, but it's kind of like if I drop him, he's playing next week. Right? You know what I mean? It's just I'm sick of looking wrong by making the correct decision, so I've kept him in the team in anticipation for Wiedering coming straight in next week.
I don't mind it. Good explanation.
Can I ask you a question and everyone else in the chat, right? And because this is for my own education. Now, I'm quite openly not a Marchbank fan. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I have been. And I have this rule with players, and Cunningham has joined this group in my brain. And it's, if I can't actually remember what I had for dinner the last time you had a great game, that day you did it, it's too fucking long ago. So I actually can't remember, right? I can't actually remember what I had at that dinner time. With Marchbank, do you think when you put him in, Let Dog, I'm going to ask you because you've got him in your team. Did you see anything last week and the week before that told you that worried you a little bit? Because when I did my team, I thought even before Whittaker got injured, there was them two balls in before he got injured in the second quarter that Whittaker had to chase one of them and spoil it over the line. And then Whittaker started to get really flat-footed. And it reminded me a little bit of when Whittaker plays Young, where he sometimes makes a mistake and then Whittaker kind of like backs off and goes less attacking on the ball. So what is it when you select him that makes you want it? Because is it sentiment? Because
no.
because I've kind of got to the stage with Marchbank where I know this sounds horrible, but I'd rather have Young on the list because I know he's going to be fit 100%. Because every selection, every 6 weeks, we're finding a Marchbank replacement, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's definitely not rose-tinted glasses because this is, I don't know if this is hyperbolic. I can't remember a good game that Marchbank's played. Maybe when he had a completely different body and he almost played up towards the wing at times many years ago. So it's not that. It's, I don't know. I'm just trying not to disturb the back six that much, I guess, or the back 7 or 8, because I do think Marchbank, I do think they want him in the team for whatever reason. My first version of this team had Young in and no Marchbank, but then I thought, I don't know. I just opted. I flipped a coin and went with Marchie and had Young there as the break glass in case of emergency. I'd love Alex Silvani. Peak Alex Silvani would be good this week to bring him into the team. Sam Durden might have made.
He was at the Virgin Lounge, wasn't he? And he's
he was.
By the look of him.
Sparked a very good memory. We drafted him literally to play on Buddy Franklin 3 times, and God, it was good. And I mean, the other one is Sam Durden. I've got no idea what his health is like. He's kind of a defensive stopper, but I don't know if he's ready concussion, for AFL. It's just, I don't know. I'm a bit worried. Ideally, Wiedering plays, and my team, we don't need to worry about it. If I was choosing the team, I'd be like, wait, Jacob, you're just not playing this week.
Yeah. Ian, are you a fan?
Look, I've always been a massive Caleb Marchbank fan. He's always one of my favorite players from that starting rebuild era. There was something about him that I saw something in him of high potential. I love the way he intercepted down in defense and thought, gee, this guy could be anything. Then he gets all the injuries, and it's just a case of we never saw him. There was some great moments in that Mark Murphy sidestep banana goal against Freo, and that was how long ago? And then he was out for about 3 years, came back, and I think if anyone's going to be able to defend him slightly, it's probably going to be me, because I am biased to a degree. I think back end of last year when he came in and played a few of those finals, the semi-final against Melbourne, I thought he was really, really solid. He was okay in the prelim, but he was, at that stage, keeping Kemp out with some of his actions. And I thought his ability to still play somewhat small was something I wasn't sure he was still able to do. I knew he could be a bit more of that interceptor and be that bigger defender, but he still seemed quite mobile and attacking the game in that sense. And because of his back end of the season, it was, from my perspective, I was willing to let him go this season and say, have a run. You have kind of deserved it if you can stay fit. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stay fit. And when we have seen him play, he's been horrific. I don't know if he's just finally, the body's got a hold of him and the form has just completely wilted and he just can't do what he used to. But he's like many right now as far as the injuries are concerned. It's we can't deal with the fact that we can't trust you to get through a game of football. Like you're having to play Lewis Young as your sub because you don't trust him form-wise. You don't trust him body-wise. We can't be having that. There's too many players like that. And depth-wise on the list, we don't have a lot of key defenders that are ready to go in that position come the end of the season, I can't see us re-signing Caleb Marchbank because of all of those factors. And then really the form is not warranting selection anyway right now. And he's probably staunchest defender, but you have to say what you see.
I agree with all that. I don't care if he's in our team or not. The one last note I'll say is I think Billy Wilson might get the sub this week in real life. I don't have him in. I've just got that vibe. I messaged you at the start of the week, Pom. They always drop a little training photo of a strange player, and that player always seems to make their way into the list. So Billy Wilson, I've got my eye on you.
It's an interesting one. Because a few have asked about Ashton Moore as well. I love Billy Wilson. I'd be very mindful of bringing him in, though. I hope they don't, because he's really getting a bit of form. And Ashton is my number one boy. I've been on the case for about 2 years with Ashton, really excited. But my issue with Ashton is the last 2 weeks, I gave him praise 2 weeks ago for his petulance, because it turns me on. His petulance the last couple of weeks, though, he's getting a little bit dangerous. A couple of 50s this week, which in a tight game, he's got to curb in. And it worries me because we don't want to make this a list management thing, but I remember doing list management with both of you guys last year. And we talked about Martin, Connors and Marchbank saying these guys, if they're fit and they hit their ceiling, they're best 22. And I've kind of become an old man. It's like, I feel like I'm talking about my son at the moment when he pisses me off and he does the same fucking stupid shit week on week. And then eventually I fucking snap and just lose it. But why isn't there a Martin replacement on the list? Like, like what annoys me is it's not even fucking hard. It's a 188 guy who can take a mark and has less than 10 touches. I can find you 50 in VFL now. Do you know what I mean? If you just give me a checkbook, I'll bring you one. And,
particularly when it feels so vital to the way we play. We don't have Jack Martin, and all of a sudden our forward line, we do something different structurally. It's like, why is there no one else?
And it's a position as well. Historically, a third is a mature job. So you look at the good clubs that have got these thirds. They hide in VFL for 2 years. They really learn their craft. And then bang, 21, they come in and they're taking the fucking piss. So I don't want to bring him in because I agree with Ben. Like the game against Geelong, it was quite funny to see him angry. It was quite funny to see him angry. But it's time and a place to be aggressive. And when the game is on the line, a point in it, it's probably not the time to fucking throw the ball back petulantly and give away a 50. You know what I mean? I don't mind it when you're 10 goals ahead and you're angry because you want the 8th goal. But yeah, it's one of them things. It worries me a little bit.
All right, hit us, Ian.
Yes. So I've done the big thing and brought Motlop in, which I'm keen to get to that discussion point. But yeah, my changes. Marchbank thought he was really, really poor, and we went big, which I'm happy to put my hand up. I asked for that last week. Thought we probably needed to match Sydney. It was the wrong decision. It just, we weren't good when the ball hit the ground, probably a bit too big and probably should have gone small. So yeah, they went with what I wanted and it didn't work. So egg on my face in that department, but Sard straight in, really easy decision on that one. We need the run and carry from him. Fantasia, I don't know what he is meant to be bringing currently apart from him actually being fit. It feels like that's the only thing right now. So he makes way. Fogarty comes in, which I'm just so excited to see him back in this team. Finally, someone who tackles in our forward 50. Pitternet obviously comes out with the injury, so I've brought in Jackson Binns. I like that he can kind of play a few positions that allows a few more rotations because I guess we've lost a little bit with not having Doherty there and helping Ollie Hollands on the wing. And I wonder if his slight downward spiral in form this season has been because no one has really been able to help him on that wing. We know Akers was lockdown one. That's absolutely fine, but hasn't been anyone to really rotate and take a bit of pressure off Ollie. So I thought, let's bring in Binns. I know he's not that experienced body like a Doherty, but runs all day. Will be able to help there and also can play a bit of high half forward, which like Pommy said, we're missing Matty Cottrell in this team right now and someone that can play that role. So he's got that engine to play that role. Why not have that in there? And then it kind of, on the flow-on effect, is if a guy like Binns is playing half forward, Elijah Hollands can spend some more time in the midfield and we can change things there, because I definitely do not want at any stage in this game Hewitt and Kennedy to be playing midfield at the same time. Simply cannot happen. I don't care if we're throwing Matty Owies into there because we just have to figure something out. No chance those two are in there. So a bit of versatility on that front. And then also adding a bit more to those mid rotations on the outside. Does this also allow a guy like a Kennedy, a guy like Cripps to go forward a little bit more in patches? I saw Kennedy go forward late in the game against Sydney, take a nice mark. Those are the kind of things maybe we need to play with while we don't have that other option down forward right now. And obviously if Harry's having to go into the ruck and we're not having that second tall, is a Kennedy an option for us potentially? And then that last one is the Motlop in for Durden. It's basically just, I don't want to see Durden in there anymore, and I'm not sure who else I can have to play in that forward line. Lockie and myself went into a massive discussion talking about the injuries, and not just it's Andrew Russell's fault, not just it's list management, not getting fit players, but is it on the players as well and what they're actually doing? And are we managing them poorly, saying, okay, they're a test to play this week, they've passed the fitness test, let's just bring them straight in? Is that an issue? Should we get them the extra week, particularly guys that are coming off longer injuries like a Motlop? And we all kind of agreed, yes, we probably should be doing that. However, even though I'm kind of going against myself, I'm going to say if they're fit, if the club say they're fit, bring them in. And that's what I'm going to do here, because I just don't want to see Durden and Orazio play again this week. And then Carroll's my sub, because I like someone that isn't just a George Hewitt midfielder, big-bodied midfielder. I want someone that can do a little bit more, play a couple of different positions, and there's really no one else that's fit right now that I think is AFL caliber. So I think that is the team. Feel free to absolutely rip it apart.
I've just had a thought while you were talking there, Ian, and this isn't facetious, but Motlop will play. It's Sir Doug Nicholls round. Motlop will play. We've seen that. We see that all the time where we bring back guys for Indigenous players for the Indigenous round, which is fine. But that I forgot about that. He's going to play. He'll be in the team.
I think something that if he's not 100%, because I don't think he's going to be, he's the one that I'd be more worried about than a Fogarty or Sard, because he hasn't played any AFL football this season. So I agree with you guys in the fact that if someone's not playing out of those three, you're managing Motlop and getting him a bit more match sharpness. But is a half-baked Motlop and what he can contribute in that forward line better than what Durden and Orazio are offering? And that's probably where I'm going with at this stage. I'm kind of just fed up with everything right now. So I just want, mate, don't even bother running. Don't chase. Fogarty will run for the two of you and tackle for both. Sit in the forward pocket and just feed off the scraps. That's all I want. Run in about you got a 5 meter sort of radius, and that's all you can do.
You know what worries me sometimes? Like, honestly, and I don't want to come across a whinging pom, but Sir Doug Nicholls round, bring Motlop will play. And the fact that sounds so comical, but at the same time is probably elemented in fact as well, genuinely scares me, because you know what? We're a professional football club, and you've got me on a rant now, Lek Dog. You've opened it up.
What have you done?
This is about winning, right? Like, honestly, like remove all your social causes, remove all your fucking songs and dances, and you talk about community and fucking togetherness and all that, and you actually strip it back, right, to real life, what we're really about. All we're fucking about is winning. All we're about is winning. There is no loyalty. There is no fucking giving a player a contract because he's been good for fucking 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, 13 years. It's about winning a fucking game. right? Like, and that's what I agree. But let's look at the evidence. Chera, injured, hamstring, came back, right? Same hamstring 2 weeks later, right? So I will say this. This is my fear with Motlop. Motlop versus Gold Coast Suns on paper is fucking brilliant. Motlop playing brilliant. In reality, though, there is a potential. He does a fucking injury, not this week, but maybe starts aggravating it. Next week he does it, he's out for the year. And then you have fucking Orazio Fantasia and Durden when you need to win games, right? And do you trust Corey 3 handballs a game Durden or Orazio, I look like I'm fucking at Cooter's Fitness Club running around drinking Prime for 4 hours? Like, like that is it. Like all I'm asking for the fans is to get with me and just be like, let's fucking win titles. I don't care about winning against Gold Coast. If God came down now and said, Dan, we're going to lose by 250, right? But if you don't play these players, I guarantee they're fit. I'm taking the 250-point loss. I'll get a Gold Coast tattoo on my face if that's what it takes. Like, please, can we just pick a team that stays fit?
Yeah. Well, like, I 100% agree with you. And that's why, like, even though I've said bring in Motlop and that, like, if they give him an extra week, 100% do the smart thing. We don't need, it's the end of May right now. We don't need to be rushing guys back to win every single game, because what does that do? Like you're saying, you rush a guy in to win one game, but then you lose the next 4 because the rest of the team's injured because you rushed everyone back. Like, I think we really do need to have a proper look at this. It's a test for this week. Like, and I understand that there's maybe that's just verbiage where it was like they were almost good to go last week, but they were holding them back. And then it's just they passed the fitness test, and it's simply just a word thing. We don't know all of this, so it can sometimes make it look worse than it is to devil's advocate in this sense, where they just weren't even going to entertain it last week, but they probably could have, gave them the extra week, and this is that week. We don't know if that's the case. We just see test and we kind of shit ourselves. I know I definitely do. So it's that sort of double-edged sword, but yeah, look, if we need to rest Motlop one more week, do it, because I want to see him for the rest of the year, and he's already injured his hamstring while rehabbing his injured hamstring, so I'm happy to be precaution on that one.
You see, that's my worry as well. Like that's my worry. He injured it in rehab, which at the time, Orazio Fantasia was stinking it up. So I just put myself in the mind of a 20-year-old young boy with all the talent in the world. If I'm seeing Durden be shit and Orazio shit and they play my job, am I going to have the balls at 20 years old to go, Power, Russ, Vossi? I don't feel so good, man.
Yeah. And I was to absolutely name drop here, I was lucky to speak to him at the sort of Carlton Hall of Fame, and that was when he was just dealing, I think, with just the toe injury, and you could just tell from talking to him how much he was just itching to get back out there. So I think he is that player as well, that he wants to play every single week, and do we just need to hold some of these players back? And is that something that's caused this massive injury crisis that we're just listening to them regardless?
Unfortunately, that's all you can do. I mean, there's
what
no lie
day do we play?
Test,
I don't. Damian Hillas
Saturday.
is saying we have a 5-day break. I don't think that's true.
We do in this till Port. We play Port Thursday.
Oh, sorry.
We play Port on a Thursday. Yeah. Goodness me.
Yeah, we do in Port Adelaide.
Yuck. Yeah.
Which,
sorry about my rant, guys. Honestly, I just want to win fucking flags.
Mate, I don't disagree. Like, I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
Like, honestly, I am depressed over Sugar Hit FC. Like, I just want the club to come out and go, you know what? Fuck your excitement. Fuck one win.
I'd be worried if the club are genuinely making any decision because of fan backlash. If they are, hand in your resignation, because you got to be stronger than that.
Fucking happens all the time. Every club in our game does it. Like, it's
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Listen to Brian Cook's words. Geelong fans are more barrackers. Carlton fans are really, really into it. They're really, really into it. I think it shits them. I genuinely would be shocked if someone at the club couldn't do that. But this here is it. What I've done is I've tried to streamline this for you last week, because last week you said that there was a lot of numbers. So what we've done is we've got 10. So these 10 here are your top 5 performing players versus their output. If you are a fan of the rating show, this is the algorithm, and this is what it basically based off of what we predict them to do. So the players that exceeded expectations were Kemp, Carroll. Hard to say Carroll because he was half-time, but genuinely he did better than most people who come on as a sub. Newman, Boyd, and Mark Pitternet just breaking even. That's a worry if one of your 5 performing players was where he should be. And it is Mark Pitternet, who just has a red dot in the middle of the ground. George Hewitt, Chincotta, my boy, sorry, brother, Fantasia, TDK, and I didn't manipulate that. That is a number, just so you know, 69. So number. These are the players who are essentially at risk and players that shouldn't be dropped. Funny enough, I think we all dropped every player there between us.
Did Chincotta get dropped by anyone?
Oh, no,
I kept Hewitt in. I think I was the only one, but yeah, we all definitely kept Chincotta.
You wouldn't be on the show if you dropped my boy Chincotta. Chincotta is a non-negotiable. Let's look at the dangers now. This one here is a scary thing. Scores from turnover, -15. But if you've been following at home, this is the one that kills Carlton. Scores from its defensive half. We're a forward-based team, and teams that do it out of here do well. And these are Audi numbers of Sydney. Sydney's had very similar numbers, apart from the one difference is they can't match us in stoppage, but it is +2 to Carlton. So that doesn't mean it. Dangers, some familiar names here for you. Noah Anderson, based on the last 5 games. Carlton can't stop. Powell, they can't stop. Miller, Witts, Sam Closey. And then some real familiar names down there. And you've also got to remember there's a player that's not listed there. They've actually gone with Sam Flanders, but with Ben Ainsworth.
Well, Powell won't play. At least we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, so do you know what I mean? Ben Ainsworth is an entertaining one, but these are the predicted teams. We've gone, the rumours are Holman will come back in, King, Long, Ainsworth, Lukosius. Swallow likes a goal against the Blues. Closey, Miller, Florini.
Everyone does.
Flanders, Ballard, McAndrews, Sexton, great name. Collins, Jeffrey, Witts, Rao, Anderson, Davis, Hewland, Day, Johnson, Humphreys, and rumours Moyle will be dropped for Mr. Witts. Bevtone, you don't have to worry. Sexton plays off the halfback flank. So if he kicks 10 from there, I'm becoming a model channel where I just paint models with Let Dog. That's what I'll do.
Nothing wrong with that.
Good but content. Let's get on to
could make some cash off that.
Know what we've got. We'll do it a bit differently. What we'll do is, because there's only 3 of us, we'll pick one each and then we'll share one. We'll all vote one, and then chat, you get 2. So, Let Dog, start with you. Backline, who are you going with? We've got these names. You should be able to see them, chat. Let me know you can see them.
Just chuck in Kemp for me.
I thought you were getting up to go. Who do you want him on?
That's actually a really good question.
Thanks.
Far out, that's tough. I really don't know. Holman, maybe?
You can just say, I don't know if you are in the chat, but if you're that person who every time Gold Coast play and Holman kicks a goal and say Carlton should do it, just please uppercut yourself. Because every time I see it. Ian, who are you saving?
We're bringing in Big Adam Sard and make him be the defensive player on Swallow, please.
You know what? It's weird since he's been injured. Voss hasn't done that defensive job with Sard, where Sard basically makes the other guy defend him. We've really paid respect to small forwards, haven't we? Since Sard's gone, we've really gone that we respect you route.
So I really thought that we would do that with Boyd or ask Newman to do it, but we just haven't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Who am I saving? Yeah. I have a premonition that Sad comes in for Cincotta, so I don't want to be wrong. I want us to get the team sheet right. So I am not going to save him. That's no offense to you, Cincotta. I want this to be right. I'm going McGovern, and I'm going Bold. We are going one-on-one with Lukosius.
Oh, you put Marchbank in.
Oh, sorry.
Scary.
And we're going McGovern, and we are going one-on-one with that entry ball to Lukosius. And we're going to intercept. So, boys, we've got to agree on one before we give it to the chat.
I think we need to decide if Jacob Wiedering is playing or not.
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
I mean, no. So
I'm scared because he's how many times does he get a corky in the same spot? But I think
Mrs. Pom has just said that if we don't save Pom Cotter, she riots and I'll sleep on the couch.
That's a risk I'm willing to take, Pom.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thanks. Okay, so Whittaker in there now. We agreed.
All right. So if it's 2v1, that's fine with me.
Whittaker in.
I can't live in a world where he doesn't play. I think I'll cry on Saturday.
Yeah,
Right,
we've discussed it.
Defenders.
So, chat, 2 defenders. There are the players. We need one in the back pocket, one in the half back. You've got Akers, Binns, Boyd, Carroll, Cincotta, Cowan, Cripps, Kerner, Elijah, Fogarty, Hewitt, Hollands, Kennedy, Marchbank, Mackay, Motlop, Newman, Orazio, Owis, TDK, Walsh, Williams, Young, Newey and Cowan, Boyd and Cincotta, Newey and Cowan, Cincotta and Boyd.
Newman's in.
This is so close.
Newman's in. It's the. I think it's the.
You know what? Shout out to chat as well, right? For trying to save Cincotta for me because you don't want me on the couch. I appreciate it.
I reckon I'm just counting it. I think it
it's
might
Boyd,
be Boyd.
Is it Boyd? Yeah.
What do you think
I've
of that?
got a friend that thinks Newman sucks. What do you guys think? I think he's really good.
Do they watch any football? Is the question.
I don't know, man. They think that he doesn't. He's too easy to break tackles on or something. I don't know.
You know what? I hope your friend's partner finds the password to their phone and exposes the deceitful things they're doing, if that's what they think.
Let's do the midfield.
Red Dog, who are you saving?
Is there anything crazy I want to do? Nah, I'll just go Hollands. Ollie Hollands. Ollie Hollands.
Do you want him on Florini or do you want him on Closey?
Fiorini, actually.
Sorry.
I want a...
Big shout out to Ben. He's just become a member.
Hey!
Much gracias, my friend. We're not usually this cynical. I'm at my wit's end with Carlton. So I'm petulant in the lead up. So usually I'm more happier than this. Ian, who are you saving?
I'm going to save a man that I feel like I am so abusive towards all the time. I'm so negative. So Matty Kennedy starts in the midfield.
I've never ever seen you be negative.
Oh, mate, there are always comments. I swear every single time everyone's fit, I'm just like, Kennedy, out of the team you go, buddy. You're not in there. And everyone always in the comments is like, this guy hates Matt Kennedy. I'm like, oh, come on. So I've got to give him some discussion. Yeah, that's the tough question here. Noah Anderson. Noah Anderson.
I love that, mate. I was just about to say, he's had the role of the most dangerous mid.
Yeah.
Give him it again.
Don't get sucked into the contest, please.
You know what? I'm going to risk it. Cripps. I'd switch it up this week. Cripps on Rao.
That'd be a nice battle for just the neutral viewer. Like that for a footy fan, that's what you want to see.
Because Rao plays fairly. He doesn't get into that. So I feel like Tuck Miller will barge him and stuff. Feel like try and free him up, get him on that. And we've got an agree on one. Who are we going to agree on?
Walsh.
I think Walsh on Miller is brilliant.
Yeah, I'm happy
I
with
think
that.
that's what Gold Coast probably want, to be honest.
I think Walsh wins that battle, though. If Carlton play it right, Walsh wins that battle. All right, chat. You need a ruckman and you need a winger. Up to you who you go with. You've got Akers, Binns, Carroll, Cincotta, Cowan, Kerner, Elijah, Fogarty, Hewitt, Marchbank, Mackay, Motlop, Lazio, always TDK, Williams, and Youngie. So, chat, fire away 2 names from you. You have got the easy job, I think. TDK and Acres, TDK. Look at the names. I was going to say, I think you get left the same ones. You could just probably copy and paste your comments. Look at Lucky Jack. I love you, Lucky Jack. You make me happy. So TDK, I'm guessing you're not playing TDK on the wing. You never know, though, when we're losing, Voss likes to do weird things, so TDK could go on the wing. Lekdog, I've turned into you. I've become cynical. I don't know what's happened.
I want Zach Williams, and I think I actually want him on Sexton.
Mate, battle of the mustaches. Big Danny's in chat. G'day, mate. How you doing? Ian, who you saving?
Give me Fogarty, and he can play on. I reckon Jeffrey makes sense.
I like that. They like a little bit.
Stop the run.
Whew, this is tough, isn't it? Lidge, 1-on-1 with the great one. So that's their floating position. So let's take the piss. Let's take the piss. We've got Elijah. So we've got to agree on one. There you are. How's that day? Sorry. Who are we saving, chat? I mean, boys.
Well, do we have to save the man that you always have to save? Your man, Charlie.
We have to.
Yeah, and then it gives chat something to think about as well.
Are we putting him on Collins or Ballard?
I mean, I want him as the higher forward, but it's not going to happen.
Do you want Harry closer to goal? I think he's better from 60 out.
Harry.
I feel like they both are, though, don't you?
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it?
I love Charlie, but 30 in front, I'd shit myself more than 65 off a step.
Yep, I agree.
I do like Kerno Collins, though, because Collins is quite flat-footed.
Yeah.
No, they'll win the battle either way.
Nice. All right, chat, 2 forwards. We've just saved Charlie, but H, I like it. Harry and Owies. Hey, look, Owies getting a bit of love, chat.
Hey.
Chat, this is why Pommy and Oz chat is the best live chat, because you know your football. Like, me and Lekdog have done these shows elsewhere, and everybody be like, Owies is shit! You can't win a flag with that shit in!
Can we put Owies at centre-half forward? Because that's what
yes, please.
You know what, though? I do like how that matchup has naturally occurred. Owies versus McAndrew. Because do you remember when we tried it with Lever the other week? Playing a small and getting the ball low? I actually like that because McAndrews is useless below his feet. He's good in the air, though.
I liked how obvious it was that we finally had a plan for a strength of the opposition in that Melbourne game. That's something I've never seen before. And then it just went to shit against Sydney. So who knows? Hopefully they've figured it out this week.
It was weird we didn't try it, though, against Blakey, didn't it? Because Blakey was taking the piss, and I was waiting for us to put a smaller guy on him and say, right, we're not going to go high, we're going to go low. And it just never happened. And then before I knew it, Charlie was fullback, Harry was centre-half back. We needed goals. TDK went to the wing. Kennedy was full forward.
If I see that man with his long neck flapping in the wind while he's running one more time, I'll throw up. The worst side.
A good mate of mine is a Sydney fan, and he was like, I hate to concede sometimes, but he actually sent me a message pre-game going, Blakey's going to absolutely destroy you dickheads in the final third. And I'm like, yeah, good luck. And like literally 5 minutes into the game, he was like, I thought you said you had a plan. I was like, I'm not Voss, mate. So we're on to the interchange. We don't name a sub. We just do 5. Lek.
Bins.
So this is a tasty selection.
It's Bins.
Bins debut.
Well, first proper debut.
Proper debut. Mr. Ian.
Well, I want to make things tough for you, Pommy, so I'm saving Pom Cotter.
Oh, I get to sleep in my bed.
I don't.
I became Peter Griffin then. Sorry. Carol, I'm saving. Oh, Carol. So we got to agree on one. Who are we saving?
This is going to be tough.
God, that's grim. That is grim. Looking at the rest of them. Goodness me.
I mean, fuck. We all dropped these. We all dropped different players from this group.
The worst thing is the only player there that like actually makes me happy is Cowan, but I just feel like it's one too many defenders.
My vote is for Hewitt. We just need two of us to agree on one of these players.
I had Hewitt in my team, so I'm happy to accept that.
Okay,
everyone else I'm more concerned about.
Pom, you've been outvoted.
Pom's just going to cry. Right, chat. Cowan, Marchbank, Motlop, Alazio, Young.
Wow.
So let's see what we've got. We got Moo Cow. See, chat, get it.
Yeah.
Get the Moo Cow in.
I don't know if the real selection team gets it, but the chat gets it.
Motlop's got a vote. Chat.
Yeah.
Chat,
I'm fucking proud of you, chat.
Oh,
I'm very
what a
proud
night.
of you.
Chat, change your names to say Pommy certified from now on in your names.
Well
right?
done.
So you are now kings. That team there, tell you look at the standard you've set, chat. Look. Bobbins last week. Bobbins his entire career. Oh wait, you know what we have forgotten as well there. Look, Bobbins.
Well done,
and needs a week to get fit so we can win a flag. Chat, right, that's it. Sack County selection team. This is the official selection team, right? But this is the team you've gone. You've gone Kemp, Wearing, Boyd, Newman, McGovern, Sard, Akers, Walsh, Hollands, Elijah, Mackay, Owies, Williams, Kerno, Fogarty, TDK, Cripps, Kennedy, Binns, Chincotta, Carroll, Hewitt, Cowan, coming in. Good point, Lockie. Very rude of me. I did not mean to. Durden out, Orazio out, Marchbank out, and Motlop VFL in it to get fit and win as a flag.
100%.
Well done,
Mr.
everyone.
Leg Dog.
Incredible.
What are you doing this week? Where can we find you?
I'm not too active this week. There'll be another article up on Code Sports if you play Supercoach Draft.
You've been doing very well on that as well, haven't you, actually? I've just got to admit. I've got to give you a bit of kudos. You've predicted a lot of shit and it's come true.
Yes, the numbers tend to not lie. So it's probably the most... I probably should have been doing research the entire career of covering Supercoach. I might have been far more successful, but I'm doing it now and that's all that matters.
Ian, where can we find you? Right now you're live through a process we don't understand.
Mate, I'm one of the greatest time travelers of all time, and I'm not giving up my secrets. We have to pay for them. I just got to say, I got to give a shout out to Lockie because speaking of Supercoach, look, it could all go tits up from here, but Lockie is currently ranked 19th overall right now, and he's stressing quite a lot on every single change this week. So big shout out to him. But yes, right now you can find the Navy Blue Corner show live on Blue Abroad. It's a massive episode. I swear this thing goes for like an hour and a half. It is one of the best discussions. We go through the Sydney loss, have one of the most in-depth chats about the injuries that I think we've ever had, even though we've covered this topic so much. If you love a depth chart, there's about 15 of them in this episode. So definitely stick in and watch that. And we obviously preview the big game against the Gold Coast. If you want more content as well, we will be available on our own YouTube channel that Pommy's chucked up there. And if you listen in audio form, it'll be Navy Blue Corner. Look it up. But we will be doing a little bit of a video on the mid-season draft and just asking the question and hopefully answering it in what we are trying to look for and what we need to add, and maybe a couple of players that could be some options. So plenty in store this week.
Well, I love it. Troy, you asked, there is a draft preview for 5 players talked about. 5 players not talked about. That went up today. That is AFL specific as well, but there is a focus on Carlton because we're one of the early picks. Hopefully I'll get these 2 guys back because I have done some deep diving into injuries So I do want these two back to do maybe a live. We go through the actual data for the last 5 years. I've gone really deep and see if we can paint a picture on how to fix it. And Legdog, I'm sure you'll do a live with me for the mid-season draft, won't you, next week?
Yeah, what day is it?
Wednesday.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And then we can lead straight into this.
Go Blues.
They are, chat.
Huge.
Well, look after yourselves. Peace, love, and light. Go and see Lockie and Ian on the Blue Abroad show, and we'll see you next week.
Go Blue.